For many current and aspiring leaders in software development, one of your most critical jobs will be to hire great people, galvanize them into a motivated, hardworking team, and keep them going through ups and downs. We've got some brilliant people who have done this in both the best of times and the worst of times to give you their perspectives and any hints and tips that can help you ride the roller coaster of technical leadership. I've always found the best groups, the best teams are absolutely the ones who know who they are building for and why they are doing it, and why the person who is the end customer for that, why they even give a shit really about what you're building. Because ultimately, when you're building technology, the technology isn't the thing you're building. It's the utility of the technology that you are building. It's who uses it, what is it good for, how is it going to, make the world a better place or whatever it is.
Yeah, why does it matter?
Absolutely. Why does it matter? Well documented. You'll find a million videos of why does Apple keep succeeding? Right? And why did they succeed back in the Steve Jobs days, right? And it's because they were selling the vision and the feeling of owning an Apple product, right? What does that feel like to have a MacBook? What does it feel like to have an iPhone? What does it feel like to have an iPod back in the day? What does it feel like to have an iPad? Right? When the iPad came on, I could not understand why the hell anyone would want a freaking iPad. And now everyone's got an iPad. But building software is exactly the same. You're building something for someone else to make them feel good or to make their lives easier or to make their job better. And the team that knows that and constantly has that in the back of their head can not only build the right thing, but know if they're building the wrong thing. That's where I feel like that is a real difference between an amazing team and an average team. Is, do they know when they're doing the wrong thing? Do they know when they're wasting their time or they're going in a direction that isn't going to help anybody? And that's one of those things that I don't think ever really gets talked about. Like there's not a lot of here's how not to engineer sort of books or videos or references.
Sounds like I've got a book to write.
Tara, when you coach leaders, in terms of that understanding of why they're doing those things, how much does that play in their psyche and the ability to make them better?
I love that you've touched upon this because all of our decisions are emotional. We like to think that we're logical and rational, but really it has nothing to do with it. We tell ourselves that it's rational. So it always is about the feeling. It's about, why am I here? What is the purpose? I know I'm going really existential right now, but really that's what's underneath it all. What do you want? Nobody wants to be at the end of their life being like, I built really great things. They want to talk about who it was for. They want to talk about the impact that they had, who they spent time with, all of that, right? And maybe building great things was a part of it, which is fine, right? But really, we're talking about how we're seen, how we want to be perceived. What does that look like? And so when I'm talking with leaders, I really want people to talk about vision. I want them to talk about where are they going, because the only way to know how to get there is to know where you are going first and talk about that. But underneath all of that is more about having the right people in the right seats, actually, because I think where the tension lies is that most people start out their careers wanting to do really great work. And the direction that they're getting are from the people who still subscribe to what you were saying, which is shareholders are our customer. Shortcuts are the thing that we need to do. Speed is the focused metric. And so quality goes down when those things happen. And unfortunately, if that was your first, second, third job, you will have taken that as that is leadership. And so what we're seeing right now is a huge tension between people who really are driven by purpose and then a lot of old school people who were brought up in that way of thinking and still are trying to be like shareholder, 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 short-term, quarterly, and getting it wrong, really.
Particularly when you work for a company, a public company, right? That's that is the whole purpose of the company at that point. Once you go public, it is your responsibility is not to your customers anymore. It is to the shareholder at that.
So it's a real challenge. Like, I don't want to say that as like, okay, forget all the money. That's not my intention here. But I think that really is where we are starting to see heads coming together or against each other, because I think people who are younger than me really are like, money is ruining our planet. And like, these are the things that I hear in coaching sessions. They're really bucking against this. I'm not here to make money and buy homes and just be stuck in one city forever and work for one organization like maybe my parents did, right? Like, they want to explore more. They want to experience more. And so there really is, I would say, a cultural disconnect. Maybe a lot of that has to do with like age and generation as well, about what's important at work and who are we actually answering to. And are we willing to challenge our assumptions on it? I'm not saying one is necessarily right or wrong, but how do we have a conversation about what is important? And given that maybe shareholder growth is important, well, how do we still stick to our customers are important too? And can those two things be equal at the same time?
Like having that vision, being able to tell the story, being able to connect the purpose of what you're trying to do. Like, when you are interviewing someone for a role, like when I'm interviewing for people for a role, I actually do a reverse interview and I have them interview me. And I actually compete against other leaders in the space. I give them stats. I tell them, boom, boom, boom. I know. And then I sell the vision of what we're doing to them. I find out two things from that. One, what's their value add? Like, because people will tell you when you ask them, hey, here's what we're trying to do. Like, is that cool? Like, what would you like to do as a part of that? Oh, I love this piece. And like being able to do things like that, particularly since Amazon, the name was brought up, you're not going to compete as a leader for talent against Amazon. So you have to be super clear for your purpose, because the expectations are different. People are just leaving in hundreds of thousands from companies that aren't willing to tell them, hey, where are we going next? Like, they're not willing to answer that question.
Every time someone says something, I have to write down like 20 different notes about what to follow up. So you're making it really hard for me. So I just wanted to point that out. Light it up, light it up.